Hello and welcome to another chat. This one is, as it says in the title, about witches' bells. So, why? Because I have had it in my head for a little while now that I wanted to make my own. I already have some, and please put in the comments. There is going to be a blog, written blog, to go along with this as usual. So, either on the blog or on the comment bit below here, then please do say whether you have witches' bells and whether you made them or whether you bought them, and obviously make other comments about what we do here today. So yes, so I already have witches' bells, but they're all purchased ones. So I have on the back window, I have a circular brass pentagram with 3 bells below it that I bought from a shop in Glastonbury years ago. And then outside the house, I have chimes. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4 altogether. And again, they've either been purchased or one of them, the one that's on the shed, the big one, was actually a gift from somebody. But yes, I've had it in my head that I wanted to actually make my own. And because I had that in my head, I thought, well, this is a good opportunity to actually do a little bit of hunting, discovering, researching about witches' bells and bells in general, really. So that's what I've been doing. And the earliest known archaeological site where a bell has been found was China. And the age of the bell is believed to be from 3000 BCE, which makes it about 5,000 years old, which is just amazing when you think about it. But bells have been used in all cultures, in virtually every country that I could find any information about. And they still are used. So I have them because for me, they always meant protection and good energy. So on my altar, for instance, I've got a small little silver bell that my husband got me for Christmas a number of years ago. And I will either use that or a rattle or a drum, depending on how I feel the energies are at that stage when I'm clearing my altar. And so bells around the world, when I looked it up, have been used for protection. They've also been used for good fortune. They've been used to give warnings, to make announcements. A few ways that they have been and still are used today are doorways. Both at home, you have a bell. Most people have a bell on their door, even if it's an electronic one. But also shops. Shops occasionally still have bells that ring, either the ones that go over the door or under the mat ones now. But yeah, bells to announce somebody's come in. What else? So the other thing that I found they used a lot for was for cattle. So domestic cattle, cows, goats, sheep, horses, all had bells attached to them. Primarily, especially the sheep and the goats, for bad weather. Reindeer, you see, already have their hooves already click, so they can find themselves when it's very heavy snowfall. But other animals have had bells attached to them, and in some countries still do. We still do it to our domestic animals. When you think about your cat, how many of you have got a cat with collar that's got a bell on it to try and warn the birds to stay away, because otherwise they could end up not very happy. So lots on animals. There was also places of religious worship. So not just churches, although in the UK we're very much thinking about wedding bells and owly chimes from the church and this sort of thing. Sunday services. But it's not just churches. It was virtually all places of worship tended to have some sort of bell, whether it's to announce a religious service or whether it's to end a religious service or to clear the energy. There was, and in monasteries they were used as well, to call to prayer and that sort of thing. But also clothing, which was really interesting. So thinking about court jesters and travelling bards, very often in the Middle Ages had bells attached to their clothing to draw attention to themselves. Belly dancers have bells attached to their skirts and wear them around their ankles, again, to bring attention to their movements and to clear energy. It's clearing the energy. So very much clearing and announcements and bringing in protection and good luck. All of those things, which was really interesting. Now, the other thing, and this is where I'd like your help, there was one site, and it was only the one site, where they said that witches' bells were linked to scolds' bridles. So scold, as in SCOLDS, scolds' bridles, were used in the 16th and 17th century in England, Scotland, and Germany to punish primarily women for being witches or too talkative or too quarrelsome. Just take that for a second. So and they were barbaric. They were like metal, horrible things with tongue depressor. So it caused all sorts of oral problems. And when I read that, I thought, that's interesting, because I've seen one of those at one of the museums in London, and I don't remember seeing a bell attached to it. So thank goodness we have the internet. So off I went poking around, and all of the ones that I could find depicted didn't have a bell attached and didn't have anywhere where you could put a bell. However, if you know of any that have, then please, can you put the link in the comments? Because obviously, we're all learning, and just because I couldn't find it doesn't mean that it's not there. But it was interesting. It was only that one site that said this. And then when I looked, I couldn't actually find any scolds' bridles existing now that had anywhere that you could attach a bell or had a bell attached. So if you know any different, please let me know. I'd be very grateful. So what else did I find when I was looking around? In the Encyclopedia of Witchcraft by Julia Iles, and I will read this. So this is the quote: bells derive from ancient sacred images of human genitalia. The bell's body represents the vulva, while the clapper represents the penis. Sometimes the bell's body represents the womb, while the clapper represents a child within. So that was quite an interesting take on bells. The other thing that I found as I was looking around was that the Romans were very fond of bells. They put them on gateways, they put them on doors. They also used them on their altars. And one of the ways that they used to apparently like to do this was to attach them to the erect phallus of one of their male gods. And it was said in several articles that this was done to avert the evil eye. So I'm sitting there giggling, thinking, well, I suppose they hoped people would be too embarrassed once they saw where the bells were to carry on looking. But why, whether that's true, but it was that one about the Romans that was on several sites. So I'm hopeful that was relatively accurate. So why would you want to have witches' bells, or whether to buy them or to make them? For me, it is about protection. It's about bringing in that good energy and keeping out bad energy. Yes, you can buy them, as I have mine in the past. And if you do, then you need to cleanse them and charge them with your intent. Even making your own, you still need to charge to cleanse the items that you're going to be using of any energy that they've got, because once you've made it up, I would think you could do this one of two ways. So you could either charge put your intention into it as you made it, or you could do it right at the end. Mine's going to be a bit of both. And you'll see why, because I've actually, so you don't have to sit through me doing a whole making thing. One I've made already completely, and the other one you're going to help me finish or watch me finish. So yeah, so as I've gone along, I've been putting my intention into each bit as I've added it. But I'm also going to actually do a final bit, which I will show you on one of them. The other one will be too big and noisy to do on screen. But yeah. So what sort of things would you need? Depending on how you want to make it. So some use circle things. So I had one of those lying around. The one that I actually ended up using was this one, which is like a twig circle. You can also just use a straight twig and attach your bells to that. You need ribbon or twine. You need your bells. Pretty straightforward. You need your bells. And then you're only limited by what else you've got lying around or what you want to add. So, for instance, what else? So on this one, which is the one that I've made already, I chose to use ribbons. And I chose to use red, green, and black ribbons because to me those are colours of protection. And I made a loop at one end, and I had all the other 9 bits coming down that I could braid. So started off by putting a pentagram at the top, and then for this one I used these little craft bells that I had lying around. I haven't been doing this for a number of years, being as I am. I have drawfuls of stuff that when I went to start looking to see whether I needed to buy anything, and it was like, no, I had everything. If you haven't got everything, craft shops, because that's where I think I originally got these bells. I think I got these from The Works years ago. And where else? Thrift shops, charity shops. If you want a whole pack, if you go to Amazon, they actually do ready prepared boxes that contain things like these circle bits and twine, because that's the other thing you're going to need, as I say, ribbon or twine. What else did they have in them? They had some of them had little charms and things in them. So if you want to, you can actually get a whole. So this one I made, and then I put bells, and then on one of them, so these 2 strands have just got the bells. The third one has got the 2 bells, and it's got a key attached to it, because keys to me are protection. They lock things up and keep them safe. So so charms, bottles. If you've got these little bottles that you can fill, this one's got herbs in, and the other one that I used, which is a slightly different shape, can you see that? So that one's quite a long one, this one's a bit of a shorter one. This one I put crystal chips in. So if you've got crystal chips that you want to use, you've got herbs, most of us got some in the cupboard in the kitchen. So the herbs that I used in here are caraway, black salt, and black pepper. And my crystals that I used in my little one are amethyst, because I love amethyst, clear quartz, and citrine. The only thing was I several times had to get a pin to dig out, because chips are sometimes a bit too big to go into the neck of the bottle. So it took a little while to fill these, which is why I decided not to do all of that on camera because it would have just taken far too long. So to give you an idea of herbs, so this because otherwise I won't, I'm not going to go through it because the list is long. If you want to see the list, hop over to the written blog. But yes, the list includes things like basil, the black pepper, blackthorn, caraway, cardamom, cinnamon, dill, dragon's blood, fennel, garlic, ginger, hawthorn and hazel, hyssop, ivy, juniper, lavender, mugwort, mustard, plantain, rosemary, sage, star anise, tobacco, turmeric, to name but a few. And for crystals, again, there is another nice long list, which I'm going to just glance at. So you've got agate, you've got amber, as well as the amethyst. You've got bloodstone, brass, calcite, carnelian, hematite, hagstone. So you could just get hagstone, attach that. Iron, labradorite, lapis lazuli, malachite, and obsidian. What else have we got here? Quartz, sunstone, tiger's eye. So yes, so whatever you've got, if you want to use those, if you've got a pendant of one of those, you could attach that. You don't have to do little chips in a bottle. If you've got a pendant that you don't wear, use that. I think it's up to you what you put on it, really. That's my take on it. Do make comments. So yes, so the other exciting part about this chat is that I'm going to try and do something very technical for me, which is share my screen. Because for those of you that have seen my chat where I made my Brijog, who's over here, I had to keep putting her down and you couldn't see what I was doing. So I now have a second camera, which I'm going to, well, hopefully this is going to work so that you can actually see a little bit more of what I'm doing while I'm doing it. So yes, so as I say, I've already made one completely. This one I have got in the process of, so to speak. So you can see that I used the little circle of twigs. I've used black twine. You could just use jute twine. I tend to stick with something like jute twine. I think this is like a black jute from the garden shed, actually, or ribbon. And so I've got three of these very, very nice bells. Actually make quite a nice tinkly noise. And to each one of those, I've added 3 black beads. So I've got three bells like that. And then down each side, I have done a little thing for a difference. So they both match. So each one of them has got the half moon there. And then they've got a pentagram. And then in amongst all my other things, I had these very pretty, little like filigree leaves. I don't know if you can see that. They look very pretty. So I thought, oh, quite like those. And then I've got more bottles. So this is where it gets interesting because I need to seal up, because as you saw, the cork came out of that bottle very easily. And I want them to be quite secure. So with a pair of tweezers so that I don't end up covering myself in, I've got the tea light. I'm going to just dip the cork in the wax and that should keep that quite secure. Now, I'm going to do the same with the bottle with the crystal chips into the wax. And then into there. Just hold it while it sets a bit. There. That's good. Right, let's move that out of the way before I actually do burn myself. So the other thing that I had lying around were these keys. As I say, with the other one, keys to me are very protective, help to keep everything safe and locked up. And these ones, they were in a drawer. As I say, when I started looking around to see if there was anything that I needed to actually go out and get, the answer was no. So what I'm going to do is literally finish off each of these last end ones. So these are going to be at the end. The ones on each end are going to be, I think, slightly longer than the bells. Hopefully, when I've actually done this, because I'm hoping that they will catch the wind and help to jangle the bells even more. That's my plan. Just out of interest, when you are doing knots on things, how many knots do you do? It was only as I was making this that I found or realised that I tend to do them in threes. And I don't know why, whether that is a unconscious, magical thing that I do. But yeah, let me know in the comments if you are making something and you are knotting, or do you just go with the flow? Do you actually just go with your intuition and decide on each bit whether it needs 1, 2, 3 or more? I'd be interested to know. So yes, now you can see why I didn't make you sit through me making all of this, because as you know from my previous chats, crafting is not one of my strong points, but I do like to go, and whatever I make I feel has my energy added into it. So as I'm doing this, other than chatting to you, I am actually thinking about these being protective and clearing energy and not allowing negative energy in when they're by the door. There we go. So, see if that's worked. And it has. A bit closer so you can see them. So there are the keys with the bottles and the bells. They've got them around each other. And so yeah, I am very pleased with that. That's come out for me extremely well. So put that to one side and take that off. So as I said about charging, so as I went along with each of these, I was thinking about protection and about keeping out negative energy. What I am now going to do, I'll do it with this one because this one won't be as noisy or as bulky to try and hold. I said confidently as the key drops out of my hand. So I'm just going to wrap that loosely and then pop my hands over the top. So everything was cleansed before I started. You need to make sure that you've cleansed any residual energy away so that when you come to put it all together, you can charge it and it's not going to be left with any inky, slightly off stuff because it was ready to be told what you wanted it to do. Whether you do that with smoke, whether you do it with breath, it's up to you. But yeah, make sure everything is cleansed before you start. As you go along, you can be putting your intention into it. What you can do at the end is this. So I'm literally just going to take a deep breath. Grounding, feeling my feet on the earth, on the ground. Raising energy from the earth up. Drawing energy down from the sky. in the meat. Sending that down through my arms into my hands. I charge you with protection for this home and everyone in it. It is so. Release the energy up, release the energy down. And obviously, if you are poetic, then you can make a little chant to go with that. I'm quite happy doing my breath and the energy from the earth and the sky. This other one I will do after I've finished here. But yeah, I hope that you find this useful. I look forward to seeing your comments. If they're, how many knots do you do? Have you got witches' bells? Do you think you'd like witches' bells? And where are you going to put them if you get them? As I say, mine are probably going to go towards the front of the house because I've already got quite a few out the back. And although I've got horseshoes and things out the front, I haven't actually got any bells out the front. So that's where they're going to end up going, more towards the front of the house. But yeah, let me know if you're going to get any, or if you're going to make any, and where you're going to put them. See you in the next one.